Viewer discretion is advised, because we really fucking curse a lot.
It is high time that communists should openly, in the face of the whole world, publish their views, their aims, their tendencies, and meet this nursery tale of the specter of communism with a manifesto of the party itself.
Now, you may be wondering while we're reading an excerpt from the Communist Manifesto, but that's because we're reading Animal Farm by George Orwell, published in August of 1946.
Now, before we start, I want to preface this by saying these two did not know how to say preface.
Not gonna lie, I always called it preface. All the time. My entire life. By the way, I'm Echo.
I'm Aries.
I'm Kate.
Welcome to Chapter Chats.
And join us in our argument of preface versus preface by going onto our Twitter poll or commenting on our Instagram post about our preface argument. Now on to the book. If you have not read it yet, if you haven't, you probably should, because that's what the podcast is about, but if you haven't, Animal Farm was written right after World War II and was written about the Soviet Union and the USSR, which is basically the exact same thing. And George Orwell compared the two while trying to be discreet, but also not giving a shit. He just wrote it.
Yeah. I aspire to the level of not giving a shit as George Orwell.
Yeah, so he wrote this book to compare and contrast and raise awareness about how much communist is bad, according to George Orwell. So, what do you guys think the animals represent in Animal Farm compared to these real-life figures? The pigs definitely represent the government and people in control. The dogs represent higher up people in a society.
They represent the
upper class?
No, they represent more like the military, I believe.
Yeah, I see that more.
And then Boxer, the stallion, I guess, represented the male working class, uneducated and hardworking, and Clover, likewise, represented the female working class. Benjamin represented the apathetic.
It is my personal opinion that the sheep literally represent the sheep in the societies at the time. They were taught simple phrases and they chanted them over and over again, because often with the unknowledgeable citizens, they pull certain things out and they choose that as their argument over and over again. So that is my opinion on the sheep.
I viewed them as the uneducated who were just looking for some kind of change in government at the time. They didn't really know what they wanted, but they knew they wanted something.
And they just went with the flow because
it was something for them
to do. So did you guys know that Orwell was actually a socialist? He wrote this book specifically against the Soviet Union communism, but he was actually a socialist. He wanted some of these socialist reforms, but specifically not the Soviet communism.
Yeah, I knew that. And I understand it too. Long live Bernie Sanders.
Bernie
2020.
So let's discuss the parallels to the USSR. I'm going to start off by saying that I'm very unknowledgeable on this subject, I'm a recent high school graduate, but I still have no idea what the Soviet Union really meant, and I'm very ashamed of that. But educate us, Aries.
Oh. Me? I'm about to school you. Soviet basically means union. So that's fun and dumb.
I literally just told you that. I told you that Soviet meant union, because the Soviet Union is union. So you can laugh all you want, but I just told you that before we started.
You didn't bring it up, so all's fair. But
and love and war.
Love
communism.
Love and communism, yes. That's it. But y'all don't know about the Soviet Union like I do. The big revolution they have against Mr. Jones represents when they overthrew the Tsar Nicholas II, I believe, which was their current, monarch in Russia at the time. And then the Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, overthrew him and installed a communist government. Then, later on, Napoleon kicking out Snowball represented Joseph Stalin kicking out Leon Tolsky? Yeah, I believe that's his name. Leon Tolsky from the Soviet Union. And then the murder of all the animals in the courtyard by Napoleon's dogs represents the Great Purge, which Stalin did to try and get rid of all of his political enemies. So y'all just got schooled on the Soviet Union history.
Well, thank you for that. When reading this book, I did not understand the connections between the Soviet Union. So I'm glad you did inform us on that.
Honestly, this book helped me better understand the Soviet Union than school ever did.
Gotta love American education.
At the time, I don't think a lot of people knew exactly what was going on either, because as in today, the media is very conflicted on what can be shown and what can't be shown, and you can believe whatever you want, but I think the government controls the media and they show you what they want you to see. So, just like today, they had this issue, so George Orwell wanted to show the truth while making it easy to understand. That's why it was seen as a fairy story? Is that what it's called?
Yes, a fairy story.
That's why it was. Why are you laughing at me?
I was just whispering fake news. We're talking. Sorry.
That's okay.
Please continue.
So he made it simple so everyone would understand. And if you read the introduction and the preface,
Which I did not.
Sure did not.
it was way harder to understand than the rest of the storyline. And that's why he made the storyline so simple, was so that the average citizen could understand and could make the connections in an everyday story.
Which I told you, by the way, before we started.
Anyway, since we were talking about the parallels to the Soviet Union, I wanted to compare the religion in the Soviet Union, because this is the one thing I did know. The leaders, is it Joseph Stalin or different Stalin?
Joseph Stalin.
Joseph?
Joseph.
Okay. Joseph Stalin realized that religion was an important thing to have, and that getting rid of religion would not help him rule the government. And so he didn't get rid of it. He let the citizens have their hope and let them have their belief systems. And you can see that likewise in the book, where Moses the Raven, right? Is he a raven?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Moses the Raven is always talking about Sugar Candy Mountain, and that's their equivalent of heaven. They have no proof.
Yeah, but didn't they, halfway through the book, say that he had to stop? The pigs told him to stop saying that.
No, that was very early on, after the rebellion.
After Snowball left?
No, before Snowball left.
But then he came back towards the very end and he still talked about it. And even though he did not work, the pigs still gave him food and the pigs still gave him beer because they knew that the farm animals needed that hope and religion, and if they didn't have it, then like if the pigs took it away, there'd be a huge problem. And it was the same in the Soviet Union. If Joseph Stalin took that away, he'd have trouble on his hands.
In the very beginning, they get rid of the religion because they think it's something that's fake and it won't help them get towards their dream of all animals all the time, because the religion in this book serves to pacify the animals and make them more content with their situation, as it does in the end of the book when the pigs have taken over.
Yeah, because they never would have worked if they believed that this was the only life they had. There was no afterlife.
Well, something else that was, I don't know the correct word, I'm going to say contingent. Maybe that's correct.
That's not a word, I don't think. Contingent?
Contingent. Something that was the same within the USSR and Animal Farm was that they had these goals that could never be accomplished, but they were still goals that needed to be worked towards. And it gave the citizens of both the Animal Farm and the Soviet Union this hope and this goal to work towards, and they'd work and work and work, and the goal took so long to be attained that it seemed pointless, but there was always this promise of rewards of when it did get attained. Like the windmill, for instance. They built that windmill, 3 times? That bitch took years to complete.
Oh god. That's exactly what Orwell wanted the windmill to represent. Like an unending goal that they had to go towards that didn't end.
An unending goal that didn't end.
You know what?
Alright, moving on to our next topic. If we can find it on our list.
Totalitarianism versus communism.
I'm not gonna lie, what is
Hitler?
Thank you, did not know there was a word for that.
Yeah.
Hitler, yo.
Yeah. Hitler's bad. Wow, I'm glad we can state the obvious. Anyways, in the beginning, the Animal Farm starts out with a communist system where all the means are pretty much split up evenly and they all work and do stuff.
They all have their equal shares, they all get their equal food.
Yeah.
Every rank, not just the working class, the pigs too.
But as Napoleon takes charge, it slowly shifts to a totalitarianism system, which means there's one head, there's one in control, basically a dictator. He uses propaganda, he uses scare tactics, he uses violence to manipulate his people and basically make their life hell.
I have a quick thing I want to talk about real quick. When they were executing the animals and they were making them confess their, sins.
Their crimes.
Yeah, their crimes that went against the amendments and everything. Do you think that they actually committed those crimes and were telling the truth? Or do you think that they were so terrified and they just wanted to die and they didn't want to be there anymore that they made up stuff?
I don't know.
Or do you think that they were, manipulated to bring up crimes that they didn't even do?
I think the 4 pigs were manipulated to bring up crimes that they didn't do, but the rest just followed.
Yeah, once they saw that there were pigs confessing to their crimes, I think the other animals followed suit because they were led to believe that the pigs were equal, but they knew that they were higher up. So once the all greater good pigs confessed, they were like, oh, if they confessed, I have to too.
And so they kind of confessed crimes that they didn't want or didn't do.
No, I think they did them. They just weren't going to confess until the pigs did.
There's a part where I think it's the hens were confessing their crimes, and they said that Snowball came to them in a dream and told them to do this. I don't believe that part, but I believe the part that they did it.
Yeah,
So they committed the crime, but the reason they did was false.
Yes.
This goes back to scapegoating. We haven't discussed this yet, but scapegoating is blaming someone else for your actions or your hardships. And this was represented in the USSR, Animal Farm, and everyday life. People blame other people so they can get away from their problems. Napoleon did this by saying, well, all the animals did. They said that the humans are bad, so if we get rid of the humans, life will be better. And tying this to real life, on what I understand history, Hitler did the same thing. He said if you get rid of all the Jewish people, then life will be better. And now Donald Trump, our unfortunate president, is saying if you get rid of all the immigrants, life will be better. And people are believing him, and people are acting against immigrants. And it's not necessarily, well, I don't know what I'm saying. But yes. And talking about Hitler, when I first read this book, which was this time, I've only read it once, I didn't know about the Soviet Union. I didn't have any facts. I had no knowledge. So everything I read about Animal Farm, I tied to Hitler and tied to Donald Trump because that's all I knew. Like, I knew this was written about the Soviet Union, but I didn't know anything about it. So all my knowledge on this book came from Hitler and Donald.
I think the correct way to say their names would be Adolf and Donald.
Hitler and Trump.
Hitler and Trump. But I'd like to quickly insert a little bit of LGBT history that's going on right now. Unfortunately, in Russia, there is a bit of scapegoating happening where Putin is blaming all the financial hardships on the LGBT community and forcing them into camps and outlawing anything that has to do with them in, like, media or public speaking. And so the same cycle continues in Russia.
And it's not even in Russia. Like, these things are still happening today. Like, throughout history, you can see it. Like, we put the Japanese in internment camps, and then Hitler did everything to the Jewish people.
Everything to the Jewish people.
Well, he put them all in concentration camps, and now Russia's putting the LGBT plus people in concentration camps, and now Donald Trump's immigration policies and the view on race in our country. There's always someone to blame, unfortunately.
I think Trump is to blame. Let's put him in a camp.
He's already in his big boy camp in Mar-a-Lagos. A big, big, big boy president camp. God bless the USA, right?
Alright, well, since we're talking about scapegoating, well, we were. And Napoleon, every time something went wrong on the farm, Napoleon blamed Snowball. Oh, Snowball came back and knocked down our windmill. Snowball came back and put weed seeds in our corn seeds. Oh my god, Cornball or
Cornball.
Cornball.
Oh my god, Cornball did this.
I'm sorry. Oh my god, Snowball. Snowball has agents. Snowball is spying. Snowball, Snowball, Snowball.
Ate our corn.
Snowball's the reason we have no food. Snowball.
Cornball. I'm never getting over that.
I don't know what that says.
It says Snowball has Asians, which I thought is what you said.
When?
When you were like, Snowball has agents.
Oh, agents. I'm sorry. And I'm not
Agents.
racist, I swear. Snowball has agents, like FBI or spies.
Cornball has agents.
I want him forever to be known as Cornball now. I don't make the rules, it's just a thing now.
I'm sorry, Snowball. I didn't mean to offend you.
Correction, I'm sorry, Cornball.
But you get what I'm saying, though. Napoleon blamed the humans, and then he blamed Snowball.
Cornball.
Cornball.
And then when at the end of the book, when Napoleon starts talking to the humans and drinking beer and everything, he starts blaming the animals on his farm. There was always an escape plan. There was always a scapegoat.
It's always Cornball.
Goddamn Cornball.
Get out of our farm.
Cornball.
God goddamn, get out of my farm, Cornball.
I like how our last podcast was mostly serious, but now it's just us saying Cornball.
Over and over. And it doesn't stop getting any less funny.
I thought it stopped getting funny, but you guys do you.
I'm crying. It's never not gonna be funny.
Next podcast. What's Cornball doing now?
Where is he now?
Breaking
Where is
news.
he now? I need you.
Is Cornball gay? Breaking news come out.
Yeah, Cornball comes out of the closet. Happy Pride, Cornball.
First Boo Radley, now Cornball.
Who's next?
Okay, we really do need to get back on topic.
We have 2 more minutes. Back to a more serious topic.
Napoleon is a dictator. He runs a dictatorship. Is that a word? It is now.
It is.
Okay, good. Yeah, he manipulates the shit out of everyone, and like they were working so hard and nothing was going their way, and all Boxer had to say about it was, "Oh, I will work harder," or whatever his quote is. I will work harder.
It started with the dogs when he took the puppies away from their mother and taught them his way, and they didn't know any better because they never had anyone else or no other knowledge.
And then when the animals were remembering the commandments, like the pigs, or it said no animal can sleep in a bed, and then they changed it to no animal can sleep in a bed with sheets. And they would change and tweak things to make things go the pig's way. And they would manipulate the memories of these animals, like saying, oh, you just must not have remembered that right.
Yeah. It goes from Snowball being loyal to Snowball being a traitor to Snowball outright undermining the success of the farm so quickly because of Squealer's tall tales, basically.
Let's get something straight. Squealer is a punk-ass bitch. And normally,
like his name suggests, yeah.
I love the term punk-ass bitch, and I use it regularly, but in this point in time, punk-ass bitch is very derogatory towards Squealer.
Fuck you, Squealer.
Dunk-ass bitch. I'm gonna dunk on you.
Oh, God. No, but, in terms of least to most favorite characters, Squealer, in my opinion, was even worse than Napoleon. I hated that fucker so bad.
I actually don't think so. I think Squealer just wanted the approval from Napoleon and wanted to prove himself worthy, and I think that...
I keep saying curse words. Like, I said fucker. Does that mean we have to have a rated R thing?
Rated R. We say the F word.
Cornball.
C-17.
It's Cornball's fault.
Cornball X Napoleon. Smut, get it here first.
No, but I think Squealer is just like a sidekick of Napoleon. Like, he's just a little helper. He doesn't actually come up with these plans, he just carries them out.
I still think Squealer is the worst character. But my favorite character is Boxer, because he reminds me of John Henry.
Just link it.
Link in the description below.
No, but seriously, a Boxer did remind me of John Henry, and like he was so able to work for a cause.
For those who don't know who John Henry is, please explain. I do, but our viewers that don't.
People who don't know who he is have to explain it.
Echo, can you please explain to our viewers who don't know who John Henry is, who he actually was and his story?
So, in the time when the slaves were freed, the white men promised that they would have, like, these acres of lands and these homes set aside as long as they built this railroad. And they set out to build this railroad, and John Henry was, like, he wasn't really the leader, but he made them all hopeful, and there was so much pride in his work. And then the white man set out with this machine to build a railroad so the African Americans wouldn't have to. And they were like, no, that's not fair. Like, we built this railroad, where's our acres? And the white man was like, well, you're shit out of luck, because you're not building it. This great machine is. So John Henry, in the Disney version, I don't know if this is true or not in the real version, but he set out to build the railroad better and faster than this machine. And he ended up dying of exhaustion. And in the end of the Disney film, short film, they got their homes because he did it. But in real life, they didn't get their land. John Henry died of exhaustion, and he built this railroad, but he did not get the land because even though his work was so fantastic and significant, it didn't mean anything. And it was the same in Boxer's case. He worked so hard, but in the end it was all for nothing because he was put to death by Napoleon after they fed him Pepto-Bismol to fix his collapsed lung.
Pepto-Bismol! They did! Oh, I forgot about that part. Fucking Pepto-Bismol.
What's our next topic?
The only other topic we have left to discuss is the ending.
I am severely pissed on how this book ended. I wanted something to happen, and nothing happened.
What did you expect to happen?
I don't know.
Do you expect, like, another revolt?
Rebellion. Revolution.
I thought several things could happen. I thought that the humans would take back over the farm. I thought that maybe they would, like, go against the pigs, the other animals would, and start a new leadership or try again. Maybe make a sequel, I don't know. And maybe things would become better or become much worse. And eventually the farm would die out. I know, but I feel like it ended on a cliffhanger. We really don't know what happened. Like, there is many different endings that could have came from that.
I think what was implied is that after the pigs basically became the new humans, it basically go back to the time before Jones, when Jones was there.
I think at the end of the day, there will be another revolution, but that could be a long time in the coming because the pigs are... Napoleon is just now becoming... Well, he's just now the new Mr. Jones. And they lived with Mr. Jones for how long? So it's just gonna take a while for another revolution, and maybe the horses will be next for the leaders.
Do you think their ideas were actually applied to other farms?
No.
Yes. Because...
Debate.
You can see it in our own history that these terrible leaders' tactics have been used time and time again. And as the example stated earlier about the concentration camps for the Japanese, the Jewish people, the the LGBT plus group in Russia, the immigration laws getting put in place in the United States. Like, we look at these awful plans and leaders and we keep using them even though we know they're awful. Like, what is... You know what I'm saying? So I think those farmers did use those things. They used those tactics on their farms.
Tune in for our new podcast, Political Outrage.
I have a lot of thoughts on things, and if you don't agree, don't at me, because I don't like confrontation.
At me, I love confrontation. That's why I'm named Aries.
I'm just Echo because it sounds cool.
I'm Kate because I'm uncreative.
Good.
Kate's currently drawing a doodle of a pig.
Named Cornball.
It's a great
And
one.
he has a corn hat.
Oh, I didn't think that was a corn hat. I thought it was like Marge's hair.
Let's post that, please.
Can that be our like thumbnail?
Yes. And then he has corn hat.
That's his nickname.
So that's about it for our podcast today. Sorry for the less serious note, and I hope you enjoyed watching or listening to us today.
To conclude our argument over preface versus preface, we are going to have a special segment where we play the actual
Pronunciation according to Google.
Yeah.
So here we go. Are you ready? Drum roll.
It's gonna be real loud.
Fuck you.
There you have it. I was raised correctly.
And apparently, I was not. I don't know anything about the Soviet Union, and I don't know how to pronounce preface.
So no matter what happens to our country,
We'll
always
always
gonna
have-
pronounce it preface.
Preface.
Oh, I thought you were going to end with cornball.
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 No matter what happens, we'll
Cornball.
always have cornball.
Insert a dab. Cornball for president 2020.
Giant meteor for president 2020.
Kanye West for president.
Destroy this entire...
Okay, bye guys. This has been Chapter Chats. We love you. We hope you love us. 'Cause
Please love me.
check out our social medias for our next book. We haven't decided as of the recording date, but make sure you check in at Chapter Chats on Twitter, at Chapter Chats on Instagram, or chapterchats.weebly.com. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube and our newsletter,
We'll keep you updated on all new dates.
podcasts.
And books.
Okay, that's all. Bye.
Right, wait, let me say your names.
Oh, I'm Echo.
I'm Aries.
And I'm Kate.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Stop.
Oh, wait.
Preface.